Aliens, directed by James Cameron and starring Sigourney Weaver, is a classic sci-fi film from 1986. It's a sequel to the classic Alien by Ridley Scott 7 years prior, and is an example of how subsequent films in a franchise can equal, or even outshine, their predecessors. If you aren't familiar with Aliens, it takes place 57 years after the events of the first movie. Sigourney Weaver's character, Ellen Ripley, is found by chance adrift in space by a deep salvage crew and brought back to Earth after the Nostromo exploded. After she has been brought up to date on what happened to her, we learn that contact has been lost with a colony on LV-426, a planet being terraformed by 150 colonists and very expensive equipment. After contact ceases, Ripley is given the opportunity to be an on-site advisor while investigating what happened in the colony, with a handful of Marines at her side. I won't be going into the plot much for the movie, as much of what I said covers it. For now, I'm only going to point to overall themes that make the movie remarkable, and yet another James Cameron classic. But before we get to that, hit that subscribe button. If you love Aliens, you are going to love what we have next. I promise you, you won't be implanted by a parasite if you subscribe. Otherwise, you're out of luck.
I guess I can turn into the like button now, right?
Little weird, Newt.
And here's a famous line from the movie.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over. What the fuck are we gonna do now? What are we gonna do?
Thanks. So, what makes Aliens great? Number 1, world building. I've done other videos on the channel about the importance of world building, and Cameron is a master of it. It's on another level here. The details of the sets are as insane as they are robust. He and his creative department know how important immersion is when creating a new world. Whether it's a simple flask, equipment, an entire lab, texture of the walls in a hallway, or military vehicles, the environment in Aliens is absolutely spot on. As one example of many, note this innocuous shot of a Marine walking past a desk after the aliens attacked the main colonists' area. Note the brief and subtle story it tells. Someone was just chilling out, having an office breakfast when all hell broke loose. Note the broken window and other details of the shabbiness. It may not seem like much, but it's details like these that not only create a convincing world, but sell us on the situation at the colony and its conspicuously missing inhabitants. We don't know what happened to them, but it's clearly not good. The sets tell a mysterious story, and the magic here is this scene wasn't crucial to the plot or storyline, but it is an incredibly thoughtful detail, and details make the movie. Aliens is rife with examples just like this. Moreover, the visual profile of the colony itself is fantastic. Look at these shots of the outside of the settlement. The sets, design, heavy machinery, and layout are all convincing. But what also makes it notable is how most of it was filmed in a darker atmosphere, literally. I think this adds to the mystery and tension of the environment, and thus the feel of the whole movie. In any case, world building is one of the film's strongest points. You could rewatch this masterpiece and note innumerable details. Kind of funny now that I think of it, because the creatives for the movie had to world build a literal world building world. Number 2, contrast of characters. Despite the Marines' training and gung-ho attitude, Ripley is the only one who really understands, at least intuitively, what they are up against. She stands apart because she has real-world experience with the alien species. While she may not immediately know what they are getting into on LV-426, her recent experience informs her intuition. There's something off about this. Add to this her disdain for the staunch corporatism, and you have someone who is understandably cynical and grounded more in reality over profits or bravado.
I hope you're right. I really do.
While the Marines and the corporate rep have confidence bordering on hubris and zero experience in this situation, Ripley has the wisdom of caution here. Another contrasting character is Bishop, played by Lance Henriksen, who was picked because of his distinctive, almost ethereal and creepy vibe. We don't know if we can trust him at first, and Ripley certainly does not.
Just stay away from me, Bishop. You got that straight?
But it works out for them both in the end.
You did okay.
The other characters, in typical Cameron fashion, all have their distinctive personality traits. Hudson is full of false bravado and is a coward unless pushed. Gorman is out of his element as a lieutenant. Hicks is the dependable and approachable one. Burke is the conniving, opportunistic corporate shill. And Vasquez is no-nonsense and delivers one of the most iconic rebuttals.
Have you ever been mistaken for a man?
No. Have you?
This is a hallmark of Cameron's movies. He defines each character distinctly and makes their motivations very, very clear. And then, of course, there is Ripley. What else can we say about her except that she's a complete badass? She goes from traumatized survivor to heroic victor against a truly alien foe over a relatively short period of time. And it wasn't overdone like in some other modern movies. Number 3. Weaponry and military equipment. From the dropship to the APC, or Armored Personnel Carrier, we get to see some really cool pieces that still hold up to this day. The APC is almost like a bug-out Lamborghini, and the armaments we see the Marines carrying to take care of business are really fun to watch. Their sheer size and design and capability tell us what the Marines are up against and what they are capable of doing. Who wouldn't love to have that baby? By the way, I've always loved this brief shot of the airship taking off after deploying the APC. Just a really nice touch. Seeing Ripley preparing for battle and tearing apart the Queen's hive is also a high moment with all those high-powered rifles. Barbecued parasite, anyone? Number 4. The lack or the subdued nature of the music. I go over this in many of my other videos, but its effectiveness is pertinent across the board. The funny thing is, I always thought Aliens had a lot more music in it until I watched the special edition again a few days ago. There is a good amount of music, but it's understated, subtle, atmospheric. It's a quieter companion most of the time. The most famous musical cue happens towards the end. You've heard it in countless action movie trailers since. But that's really it. Most of the movie employs silence to tell the story, or only contains subtle atmospheric cues from James Horner's score. I think this is effective because it creates a sense of isolation. There's tension in silence. See my other videos for examples of this. Links in the description below. One such episode of silence happens in the Queen's chambers. And my goodness, what is up with your oral hygiene, lady? Haven't you ever heard of Oral Snobbert's mouthwash? What a clever segue. It's true, the alien queen does not use Oral Snobbert's mouthwash, and that explains all the goo and her malcontent. Your oral health is one of the more important aspects of your body, and call me crazy, but I just don't trust the mainstream mouthwashes these days. They're riddled with alcohol, chemicals you can't even pronounce, dry out the mouth, and when that happens, it increases acidity. Something only an alien would like. And you're not one of them, are you? Instead, take a look at our sponsor, Oral Snobbert's Mouthwash. Only 5 main ingredients, all in plain English, and will leave your mouth feeling naturally fresh without a fake minty aftertaste or dry mouth. It works with your mouth instead of bombarding it with chemicals. Really, it's awesome. I use it daily and I absolutely love it. And I think you will too. If you want to upgrade your mouth health and support this channel, go to oralsnobberts.com and purchase a bottle or two. You'll get a special discount when you use code SNOBBERY at checkout. Link in the description below. Thanks so much for helping to incentivize these videos.
Get back to the video.
You bitch!
Relax, Queen, the commercial is over. Number 5. Acting. Yes, it's a bit of a simplified statement, and that can be said about many movies. But there's something more credible about the delivery in James Cameron's films. I believe what the characters are saying and doing. I don't feel like they are putting on a show in a movie. Their actions, words, and tonalities are congruent with the source material. Originally, I was going to show you an entire scene demonstrating great acting, but copyright holders and YouTube can be a bit finicky about that. I've had to edit the video 3 or 4 times before it was accepted on the platform, so instead, go watch scenes between Ripley and Burke, Ripley and the board members at the beginning, and when she talks with the Marines about what to expect. Sorry about that, couldn't get around the copyright restrictions. Number 6. Highlighted scenes. There are so many scenes in Aliens I could list here, but I'm only going to pick 3. One of them takes place, again, in the Queen's chambers. The famous reveal. The silence, the oh shit nature of where Ripley is, and the unspoken dialogue she has with the matriarch is what makes this scene so fantastic. I especially love this moment, the head tilt. Oh, is that how it's going to be? What a badass. Second, the planet escape sequence. As mentioned previously, it's James Horner's score which sells us on the excitement, and I love how the airship tilts forward as it flies off. Really nice detail. Third, you cannot think of Aliens without the magnificent loader emergence scene. But again, for copyright purposes, I can't show the entire thing, so just look it up on YouTube and enjoy, then come back and leave a comment.
Get away from her, you bitch!
In any case, it's apex cinema. I may do a part 2 for Aliens since it's such a visually dense movie, but be sure to check out the next video. I'm sure you're going to love it. Thanks for dropping by.